something we can learn. And that's the benefit of reading books also, right? Because then you read about, and I just finished reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, right? David Goggins. I just finished reading this book. And, the last chapter there, it says, what if? And we're talking about a time when he was going through a physical challenge, after doing all his bragado, all of that, his body began to break down, right? And he talked about how he came back on. At that point in time, I was going through a time in my life, my body was also kind of challenging me. I was going through some health challenge, But as I read David Goggins' story and how he came back to life, that gave me a new breath of life. It gave me courage. It gave me courage. It gave me something I could stand on, hold onto. And I began also to get my own way back. If David could do it, I can do it also. Right? That's the beauty of reading other people's story, because at the end of the day, we all share common humanity, right? If you can do it, I can do it. We can learn and grow, from other people's example. We're all going to have our own experience of life, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can do better because someone else went through what I'm about to go through, right? So there are others who have gone through similar things in the past, and others going through them at the very moment. And we can learn from that and become better. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to make the mistake other people have made. We can start from where they stop, and then we can then make our mistake and get better by doing it. So we're not alone. No matter what you're going through in life, you are not alone. There's no reason for you to commit suicide. You are not alone. It doesn't matter what you're going through, right? You're not the worst person. You're not going through the worst thing that no other person has gone through. Whatever it is that you're going through, someone else has gone through it before you, and they succeeded. They overcame. They did not kill themselves. They overcame. Because they overcame, you too can overcome. You too can overcome. They are no better than you. We're all human, right? If they could make it, you can make it. If I can make it, you can make it. If I can do what I'm doing right now, you can do it. If it's somebody in your part, you can do it. I can teach you how I have done it, and you can do it also, right? Because I'm nothing special. I'm not superhuman. I'm just human. I'm just human. And we all share that. There's no superhuman. We're all human. Whatever we do or cannot do is a result of what we have learned. It's a skill, what we have learned, what we have exercised ourselves in doing. I'm here talking to you as if I was born this way. I wasn't born this way. I learned how to do it. I grew up as a shy person, right? Typically, I wouldn't be able to do this, standing in front of the camera and talking like this. I wasn't born this way. Anyone that knows me knows I wasn't born this way. But today I can do it because I have developed mastery by doing. I've developed mastery by doing. I've exercised myself in it. I am exercising myself in it. So I'm getting better at doing it. You too can exercise yourself in it and get better at doing it. No matter where you are right now, you can get better. It's not the end of your story. You can get better, right? So, so no trial. I love that, and this is looking from the Holy Book, right? For those of you who know the Holy Book, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. I love the first part of it, and I took it from one of the translation mouths. It says, "No trial has overtaken you that is not distinctively human." There's no struggle you are going through that is not distinctively human. Life is not expecting you to be superhuman. Just be human, right? No, there's no trial. There's no challenge of life that has overtaken you or is overtaking you or that will overtake you. That is not distinctively human. You are going through a human experience. That's what the Sheldon would say. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience, right? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here to have a human experience. And in our humanity, we're all the same. In our humanity, we're all the same. We're spiritual beings here to have a human experience. And in that human experience, we are all common. We're all one. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your tribe. In humanity, we're all the same. Therefore, we can encourage one another. We can influence one another. We can help one another. We can uplift one another. We can encourage one another. Right? So we are forever changing from what we are into what we'll be, right? That's Heraclitus. It says that, says there's no other thing constant in life but change. Change is a constant in life, right? So we're forever changing, So I would say that success is not sacrosanct, right? If you don't protect your success, you'll get failure, right? Life is forever changing, and the way to stay ahead of life is to keep changing. Use the change, right? Rather allow the change to use you, right? There's no, I'll just, part of my 2 weeks experience also is that place that there are some things that work for you that if you don't, you have to continually stay on top of them. Otherwise, then they begin to work against you. What worked for you yesterday can work against you today, if you just take it for granted, right? If you're consistent about a thing and you're not staying above that consistency, to use that consistency, and you get to a place where you become enslaved by your consistency, that will work against you, right? So life is just that place. Life is a game. Life is war. Where you're continuously getting the balance of things, right? You're continuously needing to be using things rather than allowing things to use you, right? So what worked for me yesterday can work against me if I become complacent about it, right? So it's a changing game, and it's up to us to ensure that we stay ahead of the change of life, so that the change of life does not then use us, and then defeat us. Right? If you want to win, you have to stay ahead of a changing game of life, such that you can use the change of life to your advantage. So life looks different at different age. Life looks different at age 20, age 50, age 80. I have 3 young adults, all above the age of 20. So, just think about who I was when I was 20. I was in the university and I was chasing after a relationship, which I was a prisoner of the relationship, and I thought I was serving God by that, but it was a limit of my knowledge. It was a limit of my knowledge, right? If I knew better, I would have done better. But what protected me was that I feared God. In my stupidity, I feared and loved God. And that protected me from being stupid, being overly stupid. I was stupid, in my ignorance, But life looks different at different age. Today, I'm 56 this year, right? Doesn't mean I know it all, right? My father, I have a father, I have a mother. They know much more than I do. And there's a whole lot I'm going to learn tomorrow that I don't know today. But life is changing, and it's up to me to never get complacent, think I know, of being a pastor, all of that. And all of those can work against me if I don't stay ahead of them, if I don't stay in the flow, the stream of life, the stream of knowledge, the stream of wisdom, the stream of understanding. All my pastoral past can work against me. I have my beautiful sister here joining me on Instagram Live, and she knows me from way back, right? But all of that is useless if I'm not useful today, if I'm not staying in the stream of knowledge, if I'm not staying in the stream of anointing, if I'm not staying in a stream of being a blessing, right? Then it'll be like, wow, I've become a relic. Life is changing. And for me to get the best of it, I must be ahead of it. I must use the change, not allow the change to use me. Right. So and so at each point in time is where we stand. You know, where we stand at each point in time depends where we sit. It's an older aphorism. It says where you stand depends on where you sit, right? The privilege of your sitting determines who you are, determines how people see you, determine whether you're a blessing or not, whether you are extraordinary or not. Even though we're all human, but by virtue of where you sit, by virtue of your experience of life, you can differentiate yourself, right? Even though we're all human, we also come in different hierarchy and standing per se, in the place of which we can influence and bless one another, right? There has to be a price. Where you sit is a function of the price you have paid, right? And the giants you can plug into by reason of the price that you've paid. Remember, we talked about sowing seed, right? The harvest is a function of the seed you have sown, right? How much you have invested, for the knowledge that you have, how much you have invested, for the courage that you have, right? Because people are gonna follow you or come to you if you can feed something in them. You have to have the right thing to feed something in them. You can only bless people to the extent that you can feed the hunger that is in them. And there's different hunger in people, right? So they would have an affinity towards you or not if there is something in you that is feeding something in them, right? So, and also how we see the world, depends on also our vantage point, right? It depends on our philosophy, right? It depends on what we know. It depends on what our exposure, So all of that affects us, as we go through life. We're talking about how, again, to let me see what let me quote it rightly. We started here, we're talking about how to master the issues of life, right? So all of that goes towards mastering the issues of life, and so all of this we're talking about, and I said what happened to me the last 2 weeks as I went in a time of thinking backwards, and what ties to that is our favorite quote by Socrates, which says that an unexamined life is not worth living. Because when we examine our life, when I look back to when I was 20, I look back to when I was 30, I look back to when I was 40, I look back to when I was 50, and I look at how I felt, how I feel, what my life was and what my life is, helps me to appreciate what I already have, right? And to see what I want. I had a good time in my exercise this morning. We had a short time talking to my dear sister Osa, and we're just talking about life, we're talking about privilege we had to be alive. We had a burial, I believe it was last week, for one of our directors, and just talking about the privilege of being alive. She was talking about how she struggled out of bed this morning. Yet there are people that don't wake up from bed. There are people that are incapacitated. There are people that cannot do the things that we can do today, right? So when we look back at life, we're able to be grateful, right? It's not about what I don't have. It's about everything that I already have, right? And when I'm grateful for what I have, I can have more. If all I'm thinking about are things that I don't have, I will have less because I will lose what I already have. But when I'm grateful for what I have, I'm able to be inspired, to have more, because then I understand how I got here, and that helps me to get to where I need to get to. I love a dear sister of mine posted some pictures on Facebook today, and I was saying, he said, it's grace that has carried her. It's grace that has carried her. It's grace that has carried her, And when you look back, then you're able to appreciate that. You're able to say, I didn't get here by my own strength. I I was helped. I was helped. I was helped. I was helped. When I appreciate the hand that helped me this far, then I'm able to use that same hand, allow that same hand to take me further. But it comes when I'm able to look back and take stock. How did I get here? How did I win the many battles? How did I win over those sleepless nights? How did I win over the anxiety, the troubling heart, the days when it looked like today would never come? But I'm here today. I got here somehow. The same way I got here, I can get to wherever I need to get to in the future. The same hand that brought me this far will take me further, right? But I'm also able to pick some nuggets from my life. I'm able to understand that. I'm able to understand that in one day, I felt poor, and in the same day, I felt rich. And it wasn't as if there was any change in my bank account, but it was just the way I saw things. My perception made the difference, right? In one day, I was depressed. In another day, that same day, not another day, I came out of depression. And it wasn't as if I got any extra money or anything extra. It was just my perception that changed. If that can happen, if that had happened yesterday, I can use the same one today to have the right perception to face the issues of my life, to face my today, to face this week, to face the month, to face the year, and be an overcomer. I can begin to work on my mind to have the victory therein, so that then when I can have the victory in my mind, then me and my mind can attract every other thing that I need to complete my life, right? And it comes from an examination. It comes from an examination, right? How did I, by just one thought, fall into depression? How did I just by one thought come out of depression? How can I gain mastery over my thought, right? So an unexamined human life is deprived of meaning and purpose of existence. When you don't examine your life, then you lose meaning. You lose purpose to your existence. So as the psalmist would say, teach us a number of days that we might apply our hearts unto wisdom. Teach us to look at our days that we can glean the lessons. We can glean the grace. We can be grateful. We can be thankful. We can know that it wasn't by our strength, but we were helped, and allow that same help to carry us further, right? So the most, and all of this is, and all of this is supported by science, right? It's our lives can get better. Changes taking place, but that's all the change that takes place does not have to be negative. We can make them positives. We can influence our life for the better, right? We're not yet home yet. We will not be home until we die. And for the time that we have here, it can be a rewarding life. It doesn't have to be a depressing life. It doesn't have to be a low life. We can live the high life till the day we leave the scene here. And it's all about what we do about it. It's not going to happen by chance. It's going to happen by what we do. It's going to happen by the decisions we'll make. We are the difference maker. We can do something about our life and make it better.